Good morning, crew.
Hi.
All right, I hope you guys had a good day. We're going to go ahead and settle on into our lesson. Before we get started, we're going to get our class navigator to help us out and tell us our objectives for today.
Our objectives today are we can quote accurately when explaining what the text says, explicitly, and when drawing inferences.
I also want to add on another objective today. We're going to engage effectively in a range of collaborative discussions, one-on-one and teacher-led.
Our learning target today is crew. We will quote accurately from our anchor text and student-guided discussions so that we can understand literary pieces. We will know that we have mastered this skill when we can discuss what the text says explicitly and use inferences.
Thank you so much, Kevion. She did a good job. Thank you. All right, let's talk about our focus walk because we have to know where we're going. Today, we're going to talk about our anchor text, Storm Warriors. The genre is a historical fiction. We're going to talk about in our writing narratives. For grammar, we're going to go back and spiral back into our pronouns because our anchor text talks about first person point of view, and we have to talk about pronouns to get to that point. Our spiral review will be on point of view and theme because our story also talks about point of view and theme. All right, let's go back over a few things. We have to know what our standards are and able to be able to achieve them. If something is stated explicitly, what does that mean? If something is stated explicitly, Kevion.
It's right there in the text.
It's right there in the text. Do we have to make it up?
No.
It's right there. Let me ask another question. If you use inferences, what do you do when you use inferences? Sequoia.
Read between the lines.
You read between the lines. That's one of our 12 powerful words that we've been discussing. All right. What we're going to go on is going to get right into our anchor text. Storm Warriors is a historical fiction. I have a question for you guys. How do you know that the anchor text is a historical fiction? What evidence from the text supports this claim? How do you know that Storm Warriors is a historical fiction? Let's see. Brandon. Well, let me go back. What is a historical fiction?
Oh, historical fiction is like people, it's real people that happen in the past.
It happened in the past. It's real events that could have taken place in the past. Lanaya.
I would like to add on to what Brandon said. Historical fiction is something that happened in the past, like he said, and it could be with real or made up characters and with a real event.
Yes, and that's so true. And that's what took place in our anchor text. Is there anything specifically that you can see in your text that kind of also lets you know that's a historical fiction? Let's see. Carry on.
I know that this story is a historical fiction because on page 268, it explicitly says that the date is 1896.
Is there anything specifically that you can see in your text that kind of also lets you know that's a historical fiction? Let's see. Carry on.
I know that this story is a historical fiction because on page 268, it explicitly says that the date is 1896.
We're going to go ahead and jump into our captain's discussion. Before we get started, let's go over the rules. The first rule is what?
Be respectful.
Number 2.
Share thoughtful responses.
Number 3.
Cite evidence from the text.
All right, your task. You have 2 minutes to formulate a higher order thinking question from the anchor text. Storm Warriors that will contribute to a good discussion. When we formulate, we do what?
Build, create.
We build, create. That's one of our other powerful words. So, table captains, I want you to get the sticky notes and make sure your table has a sticky note so you can formulate your own higher order thinking question. Make sure you go back into your text when you get there. Get started. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Who would like to start our discussion? Let's see. Find somebody. Lanaya, go ahead and tell us your high order thinking question, your hot question.
What is the author's purpose and how do you know?
Okay, let me restate it. She said, what is the author's purpose and how do you know? What is the author's purpose and how do you know? Let's see. Decory.
Is to inform me.
To inform us. How do we know it was to inform us?
He tell you how to be brave.
He tells us to be brave. That's more the line of theme. Kim Young, help him
I
out.
would like to add on to what Decorian said. He is right to inform the reader.
Yes.
And I have evidence
Uh-huh.
how to inform the reader because on page 268, it gives us a date. It says it's 1896 on Pea Island, part of North America's Outer Banks. So that means that it's a real event because it gave us a date.
Okay. Glen,
The author is trying to inform us of information about Nathan and how that, like, giving information to Nathan in his life.
Nathan in his life. What exactly stood out about Nathan in his life? Tell us a little bit about Nathan in his life. What is?
He had medical books and he was studying medical.
Some medical books to do what? What was he studying medical books?
To save people's lives.
To save people's lives. What was his job title? Since we're talking about careers, what was Nathan's job title? Lanaya.
Nathan's job title was to be a life support.
Yes, he saved lives. That's true. Anybody else want to share their higher thinking question? Ray Young.
On page 271, why do you think Nathan said there is no time for me to wallow in my loss?
Oh, I love that quote. State that one again.
There is no time for me to wallow in my loss.
There was no time for me to wallow in my loss. I think that was the most powerful statement or quote from the whole text. What does that mean? There was no time for me to wallow in my loss. I'm gonna get Nick since I haven't heard from him today.
That means you don't have time to give up or waste time.
He didn't have to give time to give up and waste time. What was so special? Why didn't he have time to give up and waste time? Ryan.
Because he had to save lives.
He had to save lives. What would have happened if he gave up and was not there on the spot when they need him? Brandon.
The people who were there
They would die because Nathan had a special skill. What about why didn't he, let me rephrase that, why didn't his dad want him to risk his life in such a manner?
Because he thought he was too young and he could not help.
You're right, and they said that in the text explicitly that he was too young. All right, you guys, today in our small groups, we're going to talk about point of view. More specifically, we're going to read our paired reading, which is two informational texts, and we're going to pick out how we pick out the information and lesson notes that is in point of view, okay? So what I want you to do is, Trevion, I want you to start off reading the passage. If you see a pronoun in here that lets you know which point of view it's in, go ahead and highlight that, okay? Start reading.
On July 16th in the year 1969, I was on a space shuttle at the Kennedy Space Center. It was named Apollo II. I, Mission Commander Neil Armstrong, was one of 3 men taking a trip to the moon. My comrades on this flight of a lifetime were lunar module pilot Ed, Buzz.
Let me ask you a question. Number one, the first question was, you have to support this with evidence from the text. Who was narrating our story? One small step. Who is? How do we know it's Neil Armstrong?
He was the first mission commander. He was the first person in space.
He was the first person in space, and it says that explicitly in the text. I want you guys to go ahead and answer number 1 on your document, and I want you to go on to number 2 and use the text evidence to answer it. It asks you a question. And number 2, it says determine the meaning of the word daunting. So you guys are going to use context clues like we've been doing in our reading passages and answer that question. I'm going to go ahead and go check on your classmates in their centers, okay? Get started. What are you guys working on?
Well, we're working on fluency by buddy reading.
Okay, fluency by buddy reading. Okay, what did you guys choose to read?
We chose Words Set Me Free.
Words Set Me Free. What genre is that?
Historical fiction.
Well, so far, what's taking place in the story?
It's about a boy named Frederick Douglass and how he was a slave and how he was shipped to
Different plantations.
different plantations, and he learned letters, and then
Alphabets.
he grew up to learn how to read, and then his master died, and then he had to go back to where he came from.
Oh, that's awesome.
His birthplace.
Good job. Okay. What are you guys working on?
We're working on standards living for which is we can produce clear and coherent writing that is appropriate to task, propose, and attendance.
Okay, and how are you guys going to get that done?
We have a writer's choice board, and we have 4 different choices that we can choose from, or 5. And I chose to do the play.
Okay, is there anything that I can do to help you do your
May I please use the camera and exit out?
Okay, that's fine. And I think another good idea, we could do like a reader's theater after I look at it and we edit it together, and we can work on our fluency that way. Okay? All right. Good job. Keep working. What are you guys working on?
We are working on finding the theme.
Finding theme.
Using detail 22.
Okay. Are y'all working together or by yourself?
We work together.
Okay. Good job.
Benny and Danny were twins. Each week they each got $5 in allowance. Benny always spent all of his allowance on candy and small toys. Every so often Danny bought some candy, but he saved most of his money in a piggy bank that he kept on his nightstand by his bed.
What are you guys working on?
We're working on to explain the text and to make it easy.
Do you think your personalized lesson helped you?
Yes, ma'am. It's practice the skills and help me work on first person and second person and third person and emphasis.
Okay, good job. Make sure you put all your information on your tracking your information so I can look at it later. Okay? Good job. Keep up.
The question says use evidence to support your claim. So you think when her mother said something with her, when you see where it says God practice and you see the sentence that where it says Fluffy wasn't your kid, and so it wasn't a good idea to keep him.
She said that, like on the third sentence, it says Jamie's mother stopped cooking and told Jamie that she needed to drink.
So we know that's 8. And it says you can buy more if you save your money. So the thing is 8. 6. Lucy never said anything, but I always knew somehow words would set me free. But words on paper were now going to let me walk right out of Tabo country and into freedom up north.
What does daunting mean? Okay, what does daunting mean?
Being on the street and
All hands on deck. Clean up.
So tomorrow, we're going to go back and I'm going to read, I'm going to check over your work, and then I'll give you your feedback, okay? And see if we need to meet for small groups. If not, you can go do another rotation with another group tomorrow, okay? I'll check in and give you your feedback tomorrow, okay? Ryan, since I came over to your group and you guys had some great discussion, I want you to go ahead and do our question of the day and give us our captain's final notes.
Are there any changes we have to make in the team? We need to start using dialogue with each other and work together with our group work.
Okay. I can take that into consideration. We can practice more on our dialogue, okay? All right. You guys are going to go to your second block. Have a good day.